Hey, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning in today. I am continuing my series here on YouTube. Please come across and find me on Instagram. My new handle is _artist. So yeah, if you don't know me, just go into Google, put in Goliath Tarot Deck, and you'll find me from there. It's pretty easy. Plus, I have links and stuff here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've got everything I need. I'm sitting here and I have a minute. So I thought I would continue the series of how to spot the signs. People don't understand this, but yes, what you look like also is completely determined by your placements. As you know, astrology on this level is the blueprint or the DNA code of you. Why? Because we're connected to nature. We're an extension of it. So all of the times, places, and frequencies of the times that you were created in alignment with all of the other parts of the planets and their correlations here are all connected. And humans are all connected too, whether you believe it or not. There is actually only one heart on the planet. It's quite, it's a bit interesting to try and explain these types of occult concepts to people where we have multiple paradigms that are both true, are both opposites. That this can also happen. And it's for a very one-dimensional thinking person that's way beyond their comprehension. For example, I'm separate to you. I have my own physical body, but I also have a connection to you that I am one with you too. And I have mentioned before in the human construct, it is a numbers game. So where the majority goes, that's where everything shifts. If you would know anything about where the world's going, you'll also understand that in the next 9 to 10 years, if humans make it that far along, most of the people on this planet will be Asian or Indian, if you look at the birth rates as well. So anyway, that being said, it's pretty obvious. And I'm just saying that now. So I am going to be continuing the series with Pisces, the fish. I have some friends who are Pisces. I've also lost a lot of Piscean friends as well. A lot of them have suicided. A lot of this sign they have a very, very hard time here. And of course, this would also be determined by your placements as well. So if you're new to astrology, if you're new to any of this type of stuff, maybe go back and revisit some of my other videos where I explain the signs in a more simplistic way. This video is more for someone who's advanced, that understands that the physical appearance of someone, the behavior patterns of someone, the life path of someone is all determined by their chart. The chart, your natal chart, right? So where everything was placed, where it started. So people, as they grow, they usually turn more into their rising sign. That's where humans usually go. The rising sign is basically the blueprint for the direction, the compass of your life. It is the viewpoint that you see the world through. So when we have complicated people, more than likely it's because they have a complicated chart. Because when I say complicated, I mean oppositions working against oppositions. So for example, on the chart, the opposite to a Pisces would be a Virgo, okay? So a Virgo is very analytical, very driven, very hardworking, very nitpicky, very finicky. Pisces is all about being up in the space and the stars and the energies and the water and feelings and emotions and watery concepts and moving with the flow, that type of thing. So all the opposites on the charts, when they are born into people, when spirit merged with physical matter in the womb, that also affects us as well. So where we have opposition, where we have polarity, that's where expansion happens in the physical human world. So when people say, why do bad things happen to good people? Why are babies born with cancer? Why did I get raped? Why did this happen to me? Why am I born gay? Why? Well, it's expansion. Trauma creates expansion. I know that's hard to hear, but the purpose of existence isn't just to create and to expand. It has to happen through some way of trauma. If everything was perfect, well, then it would serve the soul no purpose to incarnate here now, would it? So that's why you're here. That's why the level of trauma you go through is directly proportionate to the level of expansion you can have. Because when I'm happy, I'm happy. Like, what the fuck am I going to do with that? It's the grain of sand that rubs in the oyster that creates the pearl. Okay, it's the infractions and the polarity of not having something and then wanting it more. I mentioned that in my cancer video. I think it was Elon Musk who said himself, the depth that someone wants something is proportionate to the absence of that thing. Okay, and all human things, as I get older, it seems to bore me a lot of the time, because most, or if not all, human things come down to one of three things, and Pisces actually understand this the most. It is either love, receiving love, as we should be, hopefully. Sadly, very few really get it or even understand what love is, or it is the integration of not having enough of it in yourself. So all things are an act of love or an act of the call to the overcompensation for the absence of love. That's when people go into overcompensation. So I've got to have the best house, I've got to have the most stuff, I've got to have the best car, I've got to appear to be in this way. It's because it's overcompensation for the internal world that's within them. Okay, does that make sense? Pisces understand this. That's why this sign, usually, depending on where their rising is placed, where their moon is placed, understands that all things are just things. They're just stuff. It's all going to be landfill. Who gives a fuck about your car? Who gives a fuck? Yeah, nice things are cool, but it's all temporary. Everything is temporary. Pisces understand that we're only here for a very short period of time. This is the artiste of the zodiac. This is the healer and the sage and the mystic of the zodiac. This sign, if you meet a Pisces, they are the most intuitive of all of them. Because with the fish, the symbol of the fish, have got 1 foot here in the physical world and 1 foot in the spiritual world, in the non-physical world. The way to spot them is very easy. For a lot of the men that are Pisces, now Pisces men, usually more than men, they come in two ways. Please listen. No one will give it to you straight as I'm giving it to you, dead straight like an arrow, right? It's either they're going to completely cover themselves in tattoos, they're going to cover themselves in piercings, they're going to have a very strong projection that is overcompensating. That is a defense system that's telling you to fuck off. They're going to have a projection that's going to be very, very hard. Don't come near me, don't touch me. And a lot of those Pisces are not fish, they're sharks. So a very, very damaged Pisces that doesn't end up getting on drugs and fucking their brain or playing the martyr or the victim, they have a habit of becoming the shark. They become the perpetrator. They become the bully. I know that's hard to hear, but if you've ever noticed, a lot of them deep down, under the muscles, they go to the gym, they have to pump themselves up and eat all their protein. A lot of Pisces men have to have 3 chickens a day. They've got to keep this persona up. Underneath it, it's absolutely exhausting to them because it is nothing more than this kind of projection of this scruffy, off-putting exterior that's very rough. But underneath it, they're sensitive. Underneath it, it's a pond. It's not a river. It's a stream. Okay, and a lot of the Piscean women can do this as well. They put on these inspirational explosions of projections of strength, but underneath it, a lot of them, if not all of them, need so much time to recover from life. Being here is traumatic for a Pisces. The harsh light of day, having to be part of the matrix, having to be part of the system, kills them. A lot of them hide their eyes. They always wear very big sunglasses, always wearing sunglasses, dark, big ones. A lot of them are very much into the music because they are ruled by Neptune, which is all about music and arts and energy anyway. A lot of them are creatives. And it takes a certain level of delusion, like I know myself, to even consider being an artist in a world now where there's AI, where people don't even know the difference between someone actually spending weeks and months working on giant paintings and artworks with their hands that they've put their blood, sweat, and tears into, when AI can just generate a painting in the style of an artist with zero effort within seconds to minutes. And that's honestly how a lot of the Pisces feel. There is a sadness to them because they know that the world that they're in is dying. They are dying. They're in a state of dying. There is a depressive side to this sign, and it swings like a pendulum. That's how you know. A lot of them are very, very manic. A lot of them are bipolar, not the borderline personalities like the Geminis, which we talked about before. A lot of them are naturally in tune so much with sensitivity and emotionality that the pendulum within them has swung so far to the point that they are no longer even relatable. And that's why a lot of Pisces people are already on the spectrum of autism. A lot of them get autistic, or they either, well, I mean, you're born that way, but I mean, a lot of them figure out or come to the conclusion that they are on some level of autism. You'll never meet a sign more than the Pisces that will have autism. So that's how they are. A lot of them are very good at camouflaging. They can blend into any environment, much like Gemini. But that's the problem, their boundaries. They don't know who they are because they're so busy trying to be this thing for other people. That's how you know they're a Pisces. If they've had any drug problems, any alcohol problems, any tendencies of extreme escapism, even if it's into writing, drawing, painting, living in their bedroom, that living in their house, trying to find ways to support themselves without having to go back to a 9-to-5 job every day, that's the Pisces. Okay, there's nothing wrong with this. It's just how they are. A lot of them, I've noticed, a lot of Piscean people born around March generally are Down syndrome. A lot of the facial structures of the Piscean or the Neptune, if you've got a lot of heavy Neptune in your chart, it's like a Downy face, like a Down syndrome face, like a fairy. They are so innocent. They're so beautiful and soulful when you look into their face. Okay, they have these beautiful big eyes, and they're slightly usually turned out to the side a little bit, like Elizabeth Taylor, who was also a Pisces as well. They are very, very, very sensitive, and they always want to do something that is great for helping you heal, helping you go through grieving, helping you go through becoming born. A lot of them are doulas. A lot of them are massage therapists. A lot of them have a healing touch because they themselves really understand how fucking hard it is to live in this world. And if you don't know, in the monotheistic ways that this was created in this dimension, this is actually part of the lower astral. If you don't know, planet Earth is actually that in that frequency of density of hell. So I don't know, no one really mentions that, and I will talk about that later in other videos. There is an upside down version of this. It's called the 8th sphere. I don't want to get too woo-woo, but above the Earth there's a grid, and above that in between the moon there's another realm, but that's not for this video. But Pisces already know that that's there. They know that hell exists because hell is here, and it's part of the human condition to want to escape the tendencies of getting away from animalistic living, which is what Pisces ultimately is. It's the planet of spirituality. It is Neptune. So it's an energy that is moving and adapting into spirituality and self-awareness. And that's what the age of Pisces is. It's the epoch of Jesus. Jesus was the symbol of the fish. He was a martyr who sacrificed himself when he performed a ritual, when he got crucified to try and teach humans to not do what they did. It was around the time or the epoch of the Pisces epoch. So if you don't know what the epoch is, just quickly, every 2,000 years is an epoch that shifts in the consciousness through the human condition or the human frequency, the human zeitgeist, I guess. And so we went from right back in the day, in the caveman days, was the age of the Taurus, the epoch of Taurians. So that was, nuts and berries and building huts, having tribes, because humans are tribally programmed anyway. And then that moved into more advancement, which went into the Roman Empire, which was all blood and guts and war and fighting, Aries, the Aries epoch. And then from that, it was just everyone was killing everyone and there was no consequence to anything. And it was just a bloodbath. And that's when the age of Pisces happened, and that 2000 epoch ended. And then this one starting, and it moved into Pisces, and all of the religions were created around that time. That's why this is most represented by moving away from animalistic, hedonistic, luciferic consciousness in primal desire, sex and violence and blood and greed, which is what animalistic consciousness is, into a place where it's about fairness and it's about being aware of your impact on other people and being aware of how we affect each other, that type of thing. That's the influence of Pisces, which is not concerned overly with acquiring materiality. So Pisces people are usually, if they're not really overcompensating in the shark energy and they're in the fish energy, and there are super wealthy Pisceans, don't get me wrong, but you'll usually find that their placements are either more in the Taurus, the Cancer, or the Libra in their rising. But if it's more like Pisces sun, Pisces moon type of thing, then you're going to see someone that is basically a hippie. And a lot of Piscean people incarnated and were born after World War II in the collective, because we needed to get more of these healers and lovers and sages and, kind of hippie, spiritual shaman people. That's what they are. They're shamans. And so that's why they all came in. We had this massive influx of Pisces babies coming in around that time. So they're not concerned overly with material possessions. They will go after something that they want, but they're not going to be concerned with, the importance of getting that new vacuum cleaner, that type of thing. This is a sign that finds its way as it goes. And fundamentally, it's funny. I've always thought the line only, what is it? Go with the flow. But I've always said, as a Sagittarian, Scorpion cusp myself, is that only dead fish go with the flow. And so that's the problem with this sign, is that they blend so much with other people, they lose themselves, and then they have to break up with their partner, and then they blend with someone so much and they've got to break up with that partner. This is a very sexual sign. This sign will generally have many, many partners, and it's just how they are. It's how they love. This sign needs love more than any other sign to keep them here, to see enough good things in the world to stay. This is why this sign must have stability in a loving, caring partner. They are not overly a leader that would step up like an Aries would. This is a sign that will lead if they have to. If no one else is doing it, they'll do it. So it's kind of reluctant leaders, that type of thing. But yeah, I mean, the material, the clothing is always symbolic of neutrality, much like Libra. So a lot of flowy clothes. They look best in those clothes. Like for the girls, like floral dresses and feminine energy, big hoop earrings, smoky eye makeup, pink lipstick, chopsticks. A lot of the feminine Pisces are very beautiful. This is a very, very beautiful sign. I have a friend of mine and she's a Pisces. I'm going to talk about her in this video. She'll probably listen to it at some stage. But yeah, it's they're just beautiful. Like when you look at their eyes, usually their eyes are lighter, no matter what their ethnicity. And their skin tone's usually a bit lighter as well. Not necessarily as light and as pasty as an Aquarian's usually is. But their disposition generally wants peace, wants to be calm, wants to be in a place of euphoria. That show Euphoria with the character Rue, that's played by the Zendaya, she would be a Pisces, total Pisces, So like I said, this sign wants to go into the mysteries of things. To build a relationship with this sign, you have to create like a beautiful garden with them, and a magical garden. It can't be too severe. It has to be gentle. It has to be beautiful. It has to be sweet And you have to make the Pisces feel protected. So a lot of Pisces girls over-sexualize themselves and use that as a power and a bargaining chip in the world. A lot of younger Piscean girls, as they age and then move from the maiden into the mother and then into the crone, they have a really hard time accepting the version of them that they played a lot very heavily in their earlier years as they move into the mother phase. Because aging is a fact of life and nothing we can do will change that. Pisces know that, but a lot of them will have surgeries or things to try and hold on to their youth or the projection of sexualizing themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, our projection is very, very strong. And I can tell you, as an occultist and a person that's interested in this type of stuff, without our projection, we are nothing. We must have projection. So the problem is, and then you've got the Pisces that let themselves completely go and don't care about their external projection and don't even brush their teeth, don't even take care of themselves. They just live in this squalor and they give up on life. That's also very common. So it really depends. This sign does best when they find discipline within themselves to commit and see things through, because a lot of things in their life will be like stop, start, like the Aries will be, but that generally depends also on where their moon and their rising is placed. So yeah, lighter colors, you can see like Aries when you look at Pisces. Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac. There is a correlation to a Pisces eyes and an Aries eyes, is that you can see a whole universe inside of them. It's there. Like, this is a sign that will stay up all night and hold space for you. All right. My dog recently passed away about 7 months ago. And at the time I was absolutely hysterical. Could not stop crying and screaming. I'd lost my fucking mind. And I have a Pisces friend, and I spoke to her on the phone, and she would not let me go on that call. And she stayed with me on that phone call, and we walked through me taking on the full weight of the grief of that process. And there is no way I would have gotten through that night without her there with me on that call. And she knew intuitively how to handle me, and she knew intuitively what that meant for me. So when they take on other people, Pisces take on other people like they are their own self. When they merge with you and the Pisces loves you, they love you deeply. That's why Scorpio and Pisces are so compatible, because Scorpio understands Pisces. Pisces usually are not understood by people, and they're the odd duck, the black sheep, the scapegoat, that type of family member. And when the Pisces has instability in their family, it really, really damages them, particularly for their inner child work and their mother wound. Very, very heavy work. If the sign, the good thing is about with this sign is that a lot of them are very much intuitive. So a lot of them, when they have their awakening and they come out of like the allegory of Plato's allegory or the allegory of the Matrix, they understand that, you know, most of the stuff, if not everything they were taught, was bullshit. They understand that the world that you're living in isn't actually the world that you think you're living in. And a lot of them don't survive that wake up. I've never seen a sign in my life go through more depression than this sign. Because once that spell is broken and the Disney princess nonsense that we're conditioned from childhood breaks, it's soul crushing to them. Okay? And once this sign travels and goes to places like India or goes to places like Bangladesh, or they go to Africa and they see how the world really works and how the first world countries are built by the third world countries, a lot of them sacrifice their whole life to get up and move to a third world country to work in some level of building schools, building dams, building watering places where people can get access to basic, you know, humanitarian stuff. That's what this sign does. They are the Jesuses of the world. Some of them will uphold their own humbleness and they will give money to homeless people. Pisces can't stand to see someone on the street. It really affects them. Although there are a lot of Pisces people that end up homeless though. They're very, very good with animals. A lot of them work in pet shelters. A lot of them are vets. A lot of them go into veterinary science. Very, very common for a Pisces person. Okay, hope this is all making sense. All right, so they're very watery, emotional, highly sensitive. Much like Gemini, a lot of the Pisces don't come in very, very large shapes. They're not overly big. Their limbs, their legs, their neck is usually in some level of proportion. Okay, generally they'll either be wearing linen type clothing, neutral colors, beautiful jewelry with like butterfly pendants and onyx rings, obsidian rings, sapphires, turquoise. A lot of them are so intuitive that as a child, they would have been having some level of either, well, a psychologist would probably say some level of like psychotic break, but to the Pisces, it's not a psychotic break. It's them going off into the astral world and retrieving information from past lives and retrieving information from timelines that took long, that happened and occurred here long before humans got to the stage that we're at now. So a lot of them end up becoming quite reclusive as they get older. A lot of them choose to have the waking up call, and a lot of them just don't. A lot of them don't. They will create an illusion and they'll live inside that delusion, because where there's illusion, there's always delusion. They'll live inside of that bubble and just grow out and live their human lives years out until they die. The ones that have their awakening, when they have that awakening, they usually will do something very drastic. They will probably divorce their partner. This sign will go through many divorces in their life. And it's because it's connected to that rebirth thing. A lot of the Pisces people on the Chinese year axis are actually usually either the rat or the snake. So the snake is shedding its skin. And as much as Pisces like to hold on to things or idolize versions of people that they once loved or the versions of them that they once were, the skin gets ripped off anyway as time moves on, and it's brutal to the Pisces. And it comes in these waves of realization where they may stare at themselves in the mirror and cry because everything is changing. And so if a Pisces can get into a flow state of just acceptance of life, the Pisces will have a better time living here in the physical world as the years really, speed up. As we get older, it gets quicker. So Pisces understand a lot of things just inherently. They know how to love. They need to be loved. And they glow when they're loved. It's like, did you guys ever see the movie? It was the one with Neil Gaiman. Although I want to do a video on talking on him because there's a lot of controversy around Neil Gaiman. But it's Stardust. Have you guys ever seen the film Stardust? That the star, the girl that has the pendant around her neck, she thought she was carrying the pendant at the end of the film, but she actually was the star the whole time. The star card in the tarot is connected to Pisces. It's a star burst of energy. And a lot of them have these very beautiful and exciting lives that are so impactful to the world, like Kurt Cobain, and then they burn out and they're dead. And it's like that type of thing, kind of like a lot of musical artists that come in and they're found, in a hotel room with a needle in their arm or something, that type of energy. But Stardust comes to mind. I think of Pisces, I think of Stardust and the star, and what that represented is that, stars are meant to shine. So it's a really beautiful placement. I think Pamela Anderson might be either a Cancer or a Pisces. I'm not sure. A lot of them are tuned in and pulled into the allure of sexualization, pornography, that type of thing. They have very alternative lifestyles, and a lot of the girls will have surgeries on themselves or change things about themselves. Maybe even have like facial tattoos at times as well. It's a dark thing when a Pisces is lost to an ideology that they don't really understand. So it's very important that when you meet a Pisces, that if they are very woke, or if they are very right-leaning or whatever, left-leaning, whatever, that they really understand what they're actually advocating for, because a lot of them can get caught up in the emotionality of a movement but not truly understand the full weight of what that actually means logically, spiritually, physically, that type of thing. But their heart usually is in the right place because it's emotional. But I've talked about that before, and Capricorn understands that as well, is that emotions can get us killed, is that we have to be able to separate ourselves from our emotions, and that's where this sign comes undone a lot of the time. But they make very good parents. They love, a lot of them will either be really, really, really good parents and really, really hands-on with their kids, or they'll be the absent father that abandoned their kids early on and just kind of won't pay child support, that type of thing. But yeah, there's a need for them to be seen, and there's a need for them to be loved, and that's just how they are, and fair enough, we all do as well. It all comes down to the rising and the moon. So if you've got any opposition, like you've got like a Capricorn moon, or you've got an Aries moon, I mean, you're going to get a very different type of Pisces. But in terms of physicality, this sign is pretty easy to spot. Their eye shape is usually larger. And when I say larger, I mean like in height, like width and height, kind of like an anime character. And a lot of them will overemphasize that with like makeup or some kind of experimenting. So they're always experimenting with their looks. They like to be pampered. They like to get their nails done. They like to get their hair done. This sign likes to feel good. A lot of them have extensions and they're getting treatments done and massages done. There's nothing wrong with that. They like the pleasures of life. They like to have a good time. They like to be high or drunk or kind of mooning over someone or something, idolizing something. They're always in a state of idolizing of something, whether it's a character, a movie, a TV show, a lover. It's very damaging to a Pisces, by the way, if you love bomb them and build a world with them that they think is real, and you court a Pisces and date them, and then suddenly you pull away from them, or that person is, a narcissist or a psychopath, or just abandons them suddenly. This sign can very, very easily go into a very, very dark spiral that will do like irreparable damage to their soul. So you've got to be so careful with this sign, because they're super sensitive. Their skin is super sensitive. Even touching them physically, they can feel everything. If you come home drunk, they can get drunk from being around you. They are a sponge. They absorb everything. So you've got to treat them like the most precious thing in the fucking world, because they really are the gem of the zodiac, the gem of the world. And that's why there's so few of this sign that I've noticed in my life. That and Sagittarius, there's not a lot of them. So yeah, there you go. The men can struggle with masculinity issues. But if they get into their inner shark, there is a warrior there within the Pisces, particularly if there's any Aries placements mixed with Pisces. They will get a speakerphone and walk down the street and tell you off. They will stand up to their government. They will organize meetings with people and orchestrate attacks. This is a vigilante sign. This is a sign like Aquarius. They will go on hunger strikes. All right, they go there. This sign is all in. So when you build something and you start something with them, you have to be willing to uphold what you said you were going to do with them. Because if you change on them, they see that as a betrayal, and they don't like that. And they need lots and lots of space as well, like the Sagittarius. So as much space as you give them, with them, you have to spend equal or more time apart with them as well. It takes a very certain type of person to deal with a Pisces energy, particularly living at home with them can be quite tricky. They go walkabout a lot of the time. So if you meet someone that disappears a lot, it's just in their nature. You won't hear from them for months, and then you talk to them like you were meeting them at a coffee shop. That's just how it is, and it's totally cool. That's how these guys are, okay? Don't put expectations on them, because I don't like that. The only expectations that this sign really likes is the ones that they're living up to, and that will change day to day. It's a very mutable energy. It merges with things around it. It merges with people around it. So it's like in the zodiac, think of it like a keyhole. Any other sign can click into this sign, if that makes sense. They're mutable with all of the signs, but it takes a very specific sequence of someone else's chart to actually have a long-lasting, safe relationship with them. Okay, hope that made sense. So yeah, other than that, I think that's how you spot them. It's pretty straightforward. A lot of them are martyrs of some sort. So it's like like a Jesus figure, and they're attracted to that in other people as well. So they're not overly interested in like businessmen in suits and ties working on Wall Street, that type of thing. That's not their nature generally. Their energetic signature is more of a spiritual kind, and that's where this sign sits. It's how they like to live their life. A lot of them end up in rural areas. A lot of them, as they get older, a lot of Pisces end up like living in the hills, living at the beach, living on a farm, having chickens and eggs, that type of thing. But yeah, so I hope that all made sense. If you would like to leave me a comment, please do so below. This sign's best color is the color of turquoise. They just seem to wear that very well. White, black, and turquoise is this sign's color. If you're going to buy a Pisces something, buy them a plant. Buy them something. Yeah, buy them a crystal or buy them a plant. They love that shit. All right, lots and lots of love. And if you'd like to book me for an astrological natal chart reading, please do so. I have a few which I'll be working through this week coming into the new year. This is the last video from me from 2024, and I will be coming back in 2025 and continuing this series. I've got a few notes that I want to do. And I am going to be moving again. Actually, I'm going to be moving to the beach, 500 meters from the beach. So I don't know how I did it, but life is a really strange, weird world. But yes, I'm going to be relocating again. So how fitting is it that I'm talking about Pisces and I'm talking about how I'm going to be moving to the beach. But yes, and I'll be setting up my art studio there and making my show that I've started. So please come and find me on Instagram. If you'd like to book me for a natal chart reading, I go in there. I've been having so much amazing feedback from people that have booked me for these readings. I do record an MP3 session and send it to you. And then you get to keep it and come back to it. And it's really cool. I really enjoy doing it. And it's really working. Like, a lot of people are reaching out to me. So come and find me on my website, www.thealgoliathtarotdeck.com. Just go down to natal chart readings, click on that, make the purchase, and just send in the email to the Goliath_occultist@hotmail.com, whatever. Send in your name, your number, your details, where you were born, time, place, and a photo. 3 questions that you'd like me to focus on, and I will take it. Just trust me, that's what I do. I will take it from here, and you'll enjoy. I've been getting really great feedback. So I'll be getting some reviews up on my website very soon. Thank you. And I really wish you an amazing 2025. We've got some more heavy duty stuff coming up. I know it's not getting easier out there. And then 2026, we know what's going down in 2026, but I've done some videos on that before. So lots of love. Bye.